This morning, I want to share my puppet that tells the story about the very first Christmas. On that very first Christmas, there was a daddy named Joseph, and a mother named Mary, and a tiny baby named Jesus. And there were shepherds taking care of their sheep out in the field. And there were 1, 2, 3 wise men who followed the star. And that's the story of the very first Christmas. And when we celebrate Christmas with our trees and our presents and our family and our friends, we remember the story of a daddy named Joseph, a mother named Mary, a tiny baby named Jesus, shepherds taking care of their sheep, and 1, 2, 3 wise men who followed the star. Last time we read about Santa Mouse, I told you that we would read the story about Marmaduke. Now you remember that Santa Mouse was Santa's special helper. He went with him every year to take the toys to the children. And then when they weren't taking toys on Christmas, they were working at the workshop to make toys and get ready for Christmas. So one year, Santa Claus heard some stories about a little mouse named Marmaduke. He heard that Marmaduke was a really mean, really naughty little mouse that did things that were all wrong. So Marmaduke Mouse often behaved like a rat. He did things that weren't nice, like scaring the young mice, his little sisters, by hollering, "Here comes a cat!" And they were afraid of cats, of course. Marmaduke's mother stayed busy. She ran the Mouse Hotel, up high in an attic, all hidden away in a cupboard with doors. And she polished the floors, and she cooked, and she washed, and she cleaned every day. But what Santa had heard about Marmaduke, he could not believe. And so he said to Santa Mouse, "Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Take off your suit and pack a bag. Go down and ring the bell and have a look at Marmaduke, who lives at the Mouse Hotel." So Santa Mouse packed his suitcase, and he went through the snow. He took his things, and he took a piece of cheese for a little snack, and off he went on Christmas Eve to check out Marmaduke at the Mouse Hotel. He left his luggage, his suitcase, in his room. You know, when you go to a hotel, you get a room and you can leave your things in it. He washed up, and then he went down the stairs to see if he could find something to eat. And that's when Marmaduke crept up the stairs and entered room 29, which was Santa Mouse's room. He tiptoed in, he looked around, and he opened Santa Mouse's suitcase that he found. And there inside he saw a suit, complete with hat and beard and boots. What fun, he thought. I'll get dressed up, and I know what I'll do. And what he did when he put them on, I hate to tell you. He looked into the kitchen. His mother wasn't there. He called his little sisters, who came running down the stair. And when they saw him, what they did was burst into applause, because they thought on Christmas Eve that he was Santa Claus. And then Marmaduke pulled off his beard and laughed and said, "You see, there isn't any Santa Claus. It's only me." Well, the door flew open in that house, and there stood an angry Santa Mouse. He said, "You know that's wrong to do. Oh, just wait till I get through with you." And he started after Marmaduke, and the little mice began to yell, and pots and pans and apples and potatoes flew pell-mell. They chased each other with cups and saucers smashing, clashing from the shelf, till all at once someone cried, "Stop!" And there stood Santa Claus himself. "You mice have made a mess," he said. And he looked at them and shook his head. "You've got to clean it up, you two. And while you do, I'll talk to you. Now, Marmaduke, you told these mice I wasn't real. That wasn't nice. And Santa Mouse, you had a fit. You lost your temper and you hit." And yet, you know there's nothing wrong with being angry. Not so long as you just say it. Use your words and don't hit, or no one wants that, not one bit. So Marmaduke feels really sad. He's starting to clean up. Santa Mouse is cleaning up. And then Santa picked up Santa Mouse and whispered something very low. Quite suddenly, they disappeared. It was Christmas Eve, you know. And Marmaduke looked at his mother. In his eye, there was a tear. "Sorry, Mom," he said. And he knew he wouldn't get a Christmas present from Santa this year. But he was wrong. The next morning, Christmas morning, he ran down the stairs, and there was a package labeled with a big red pen that said Marmaduke. And the box stood there with his name on it, and Santa had come back. And he opened the box, and what did he find inside? A Santa suit, just like the one Santa Mouse had. Can you imagine? A suit that Santa Mouse had sewn. And there was a little note inside. The card said, "Let's be friends." And that is how the story ends, as Marmaduke held in his paws the proof there is a Santa Claus. Santa is a friend who's true, and I believe in him. Don't you? The end. Now we've read all 3 stories about Santa Mouse. The very first Christmas, there were a lot of people who came to see the baby Jesus. Remember, the baby Jesus was born, and the rooms in the hotel were all filled up, and so they had to make him a little bed out in the animal stall in a manger that they usually use to feed the animals. So these are about the people who came to see that baby Jesus and the things they did for him when he was born. The title of the book is The Greatest Gift of All, and it's written by Kimberly Rinehart and illustrated by Georgia Reitmeyer. Here's the innkeeper. He had the hotel, and when Joseph knocked on the door, the innkeeper said, "We're all full, but I can give you a place out in the stable." The innkeeper gave the baby a bed of hay. There it is. He fixed it up in his stable. There was a donkey there. The donkey had given Mary a ride to the stable. Strong back. There's the donkey bringing them to the stable. And there was a cow. What do you suppose the cow gave for the baby? Well, of course, warm, fresh white milk. And then, after the donkey and the cow, the shepherds brought the sheep. And the sheep offered warm woolen blanket made of their own wool. And here was the innkeeper and the animals and the milk. And there were angels who sang. The angels offered their songs. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace. And here we have, this is the place waiting for the baby. And the star said, "Here's where the baby is. Here's where you can find the baby." And while the star was shining, the shepherds came with their shepherd staff, and the shepherds brought their hearts, their love for the baby. Oh, it's getting to be quite a few people here interested in this baby Jesus on Christmas, because here are the wise men, the 3 wise men who offered gold and frankincense and myrrh, precious things for the baby and his family. And here they are, all gathered. And this is Joseph, the baby's daddy. He offered love and kindness and care. And then there was Mary, the mother. And of course, she offered all the things mothers give, love and care for the new baby. And then, here's the baby in the manger, the little tiny baby, with all of the people who loved and took care of him and gave him things that he would need. And And that's the story of the very first Christmas. And we still give love and care to the people we know because we love Jesus and he loves us.